This is the instructional video for BZP City Builder. The City Builder can replicate an infinite amount of buildings in seconds. No two buildings are identical, but they maintain the same architectural style. In this demonstration, I will show how I use BZP City Building to create an entire world in seconds, simply by replicating two buildings I had already designed. The way to load the script to use is to go into the expression editor in Maya, click on File and click Source, and then click the script, and it loads. Design a building in Maya that has a color map. As an option, it can have an additional specular, transparency, or bump map. Once your building is finished, source the script and a GUI will appear. Click on the top green button to cage the building. Once the cage is formed, begin completing the rest of the parameters in the GUI. The tool only works for buildings that have shaders and color maps. Then you name the cage. I'm going to name this cage Cage 1 in this example, but feel free to call it whatever you want. Type the cage name into the GUI. Next, enter the space between objects. Each number represents a Maya coordinate. The higher the number you type, the more space between objects. I'm going to use 30 in this example, but you can use a higher number to create more space, or a lower number for less space between buildings. Next, type the number of objects. I'm going to do 300 copies for this example, but you can enter whatever number you want. There's no limit, but remember, every computer has a limited RAM. Use the tool wisely. If you enter 10,000, your computer could potentially crash due to lack of RAM. Next, type the name of the object that is duplicated in the GUI. Here we are entering the name of the blend or Lambert shader. In this example, the blend is called Shader Building. Next, we are entering the color map for your shader. In this example, the map is called Color Texture. Next, we are entering the transparency map for your shader. But if you don't have a trans map, just leave it as void. Then we are entering the specular map for your shader, and if you do not have a specular map, you may leave it void as well. Next, we are entering the bump map for your shader, and like the others, if you do not have a bump map, you may leave it void. We have now completed all the required procedures and are ready to create our city by simply clicking on Generate Forms. What is happening during the duplication process? The cage acts as a wrap deformer that alters the scale and skews it deconstructive as Frank Gehry randomly. The color map is multiplied by a random color generator, resulting in multiple morphed copies of the original buildings instantly. Once the replication process is complete, we return to the geometry out. Here we can change the overall scale proportionally. We can procedurally alter the length, height, and width of the way we group the buildings. In this example, I'm translating the buildings to look more like a city. You can arrange the buildings into any formation and later alter them individually. They are their own objects. The end result being a new animated world that you designed in seconds. Once the buildings are completed, you reference them into the scene you want, making a new city. In this rendered example that is animatic quality, you are seeing a preliminary city for the intellectual property of BZP called Tiger Chronicles.